Hello, welcome back to my Lighthouse on Print Island. My name is Richard Askham. I am the Lighthouse Keeper, and I get to stand on top of the lighthouse and survey the world of the print industry as if it was my own private kingdom. Sadly, it's not. But I also, I also get to invite some interesting guests along, and today is no exception. And I'm joined in the Lighthouse by Josh Carruth. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Rich. Pleasure to see you again.
Well, thank you for joining me, and I hope you didn't mind the climb up to the top of the lighthouse. I know some people get nosebleeds at altitude, but you seem quite used to this rarefied atmosphere.
Absolutely. Never been too afraid of heights.
Good man, good man. Well, listen, Josh, for those people watching or listening to this, wherever they are in the world, give us a little flyby of who you are, what you do, why you do it, when you do it, all of those things. Give us your elevator pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Josh Carruth. I'm the EVP of Expositions at Printing United Alliance, but my responsibilities also include membership, which is, there's no better way to say it than it's absolutely at the core of our mission and what the Alliance was created about, is that we are a member-based organization that serves the print industry. And that might not be the definition historically of what one might think is the print industry. It is really anything and everything that touches it, whether direct or integrated in some form. If you can put ink on it, we are your people.
I like that. We should put that on a t-shirt. Now that's that, and I guess one of the things that's quite interesting, Josh, from let's look at this from an outside perspective. Okay, so we're speaking as if neither of us know what either of us do, and which may well be true as well, by the way. But we know about Printing United Expo. Obviously, it's one of, if not the biggest and best print shows, certainly in North America and probably the world. But I guess a lot of people don't know that Printing United Alliance is that membership organization. Tell us a little bit more about how that came to be. The size of it, the scope of it. Just give me the 101 about Printing United Alliance.
First of all, from your mouth to the listener's ears, you couldn't have put it better. That's absolutely seems to be the perception, is that the expo kind of is a world of its own, but people don't realize that what produces that and what drives that is exactly as you put it, is our association, and we are a not-for-profit. Truly an association. Now, obviously that's, tax designations. We think like our constituents because we want to reinvest all that. That is the benefit that we have as a nonprofit, is that, Wall Street doesn't walk away with the profits. They go right back into the industry. And we've proven that. I mean, just in the last 2 years, we've, essentially donated over $250,000 worth of educational resources to educational institutions by way of our training and certifications. So that's, in fact, one of the pillars we stand on. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but to kind of back up, if you're walking in off the street and you're like, what's a Printing United Alliance, right? I can start in the Wayback Machine and say essentially that there was a noticeable issue. I wouldn't call it an issue. It was a trend that was happening within the print industry, at least in the States, is that the market verticals were becoming more and more siloed and disconnected. And that stifles innovation. In fact, we kind of launched this whole platform on the idea of convergence theory, which if you've looked at it at all is the I'm gonna butcher this, but the premise is you take similar technologies, put them in close proximity, ideation times fall across the board, because you go, hey, Rich's solution could actually be tweaked to become our solution, and that's how innovation happens. So we looked at it as a big tent. So the catalyst was that what was SGIA. I'm throwing a bunch of acronyms here. They may not mean anything, but essentially, one driving association started to merge with another. Hey, we're on the same page doing things. We should be doing this together. And then along the way, we merged with an organization called ID Alliance, and this is really where the G7 plus type calibration certifications come into the fold, and some of the educational stuff. And then we merged with a media company to grow the audience. So it's kind of been stepping stone or a snowball rolling down the hill to gain mass. And in the midst of this, we launched the trade show. But the goal of the association was really to bring the industry together.
Mm.
It was not truly recognized like we see other manufacturing industries. Again, at least in the United States, we use a series of codes to identify what industry you're in. Well, there's not one for printing anymore. And that's a problem because printing is about as close to a commodity as you can get. I always say it's like eggs. People don't realize they are users of eggs, but they use it. In fact, even if you don't eat eggs, you still see the carton and the carton's printed, right? So you consume print. Everyone consumes print on a daily basis at unimaginable velocity, right? It's just always surrounding you. And there was nothing calling that out. No one championing that industry from a regulatory standpoint, as we do here, which I also say extends beyond. Because if you're not inside the U.S. and you're doing business inside the U.S., then we're advocating for you too. It's about the environment, protecting the environment, because lawmakers don't often go, should we call the print folks about this and see if this is viable or it makes sense? And there's a couple of examples in the last few years where ourselves or our partnership of coalitions have actually stepped in to say, hey, time out. This might not make sense. What you're saying isn't technically or factually accurate. And they've resulted in favorable outcomes. And most printers, whether you're a member or not, won't even realize that happened. We're like that insurance policy you didn't know you needed or you didn't know you have. And whether you're a member or not, we're advocating for you. Conversely, we want to create a community and an organization that can champion everything. That's where membership come in.
Mm.
Be part of the pack. You can join us. Yes, you get a slew of benefits, but it's really about supporting what we're doing, and that you might not see it as you need something from us today, but inadvertently or indirectly, you need what we're doing because somebody's keeping an eye on the landscape. Somebody is trying to pull these groups together and give them, whether it's a time and place and space like the expo, or if it's the value that extends the other 365 days of the year of being part of the crew, of the information that you get, the connections that you can make, having a shoulder to lean on with, all right, I got this RFP. I really, really want it, but I don't know what ROSA is. Well, what's that compliance? You call up our folks. Hey, that applies to print and electronics. Don't think it applies to you in this case. You can ignore, like, just that sounding bell, right? Or even if it's human resource related. We've all got problems in HR, right? People are people. And some of the stories you hear are out of this world and you don't know who to call. Well, you can call us before you run the till with an employment attorney. We can give you a bearing and a direction. We're there to be that constant presence, and we're there to see this industry move forward and grow. We recognize, we always say that there is a workforce development angle. And a big part of that is actually, it sounds really ethereal when you say it that way. And we are doing it with our education and the next generation and giving them access. Educational institutions can join us for free, and we give them access to all of our courses and a few certifications at no charge. That is that we're investing in that. We essentially eat that cost and pay ourselves and say, nope, you need to be doing it. That's great. But the real meat can lie in almost the career and the professional development. That's what these courses were kind of aimed for, getting folks in, getting them acclimated to the industry, seeing that there is a career path here, and making it competitive against the other draws from those labor pools. So our mission is very large and very broad. And then we have to kind of deliver it in multiple mechanisms based on what the need is. And that's where some of those benefits that come in differ as well.
And I think that, it's a brilliant sort of notion, because what you've kind of done, and just listening to you talk there, is you've taken the industry from the inside, turned it inside out so that it can see itself, understand a little bit more about itself from people, by the way, who have worked within the industry. So it's not like outsiders saying, oh, we know how you should do this, and people going, you've never done this before. So you've created a biosphere around members and the industry, and as you say, members and non-members, because of course all non-members benefit if the tides rise as well.
That's correct.
So it's kind of like, I'm going to use the P word now, Josh. It's kind of like the perfect model to help and grow an industry from within and from without.
Well, certainly we think so, but no, you're absolutely right. It's more of an observation and a reaction based on an observation. Clearly, the industry was headed in this direction, observing that that is not the best thing for everybody, and explaining. Again, it's like you don't even know what you already know. Like we're speaking the same language, y'all. It's just a different dialect. You really have the same problems. You need to connect with these people. Can this information, can this research, benefit you in your decision making? Absolutely. So it's exact. It's an astute observation, Rich.
It's not my first time. You'll be pleased to know. So, but I do think it's fascinating from just looking at this from a purely commercial perspective as well, because if you were a business, small business, and you recognise that you need something, you would either collaborate with it, merge with it, or potentially even acquire it. And what you've done to create Printing United Alliance over the last few years is recognise the bits, if you like, that are needed, the bits that are required, and either created them, merged with them, or acquired them. So you're not really doing anything revolutionary in terms of building an organization that can help itself. The revolutionary bit is you're using that heft, if you like, that scale to help everybody else. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of being a member, because I think it's the one thing that a lot of people don't recognize. Yes, they come to the show, and yes, they have a brilliant time, and yes, it's in Las Vegas, so why wouldn't you? But beyond that, the other 362 days of the year, tell me a little bit more about the benefits of being a member.
Ooh, so where do we want to start? Okay, I've talked about this a
The
bit.
day after the expo. So
Yes.
you've just woken up, you're in Vegas, you don't know what your name is.
Yeah, and let's say you signed up to be a member to come to the expo, and you get the member experience, which is the VIP lounges and the free access to the education, and you go, great. What else did my membership get me? Um, I think the first place I would start is, like I mentioned, was training and education, because
Mhm.
that kind of stuff just doesn't exist at mass scale across the industry. There's some, highly specific ones that OEMs and suppliers provide about their equipment, but there's nothing on foundational theory. And that's where we come in. Now, we don't do a lot of sales courses. There's a lot of great sales gurus out there. That's not really our space to play in. But we do relate it to sales from an industry understanding. So whether you're a business owner who is like, how do I get people in? There's some stuff there of interest for you too. Or if you're a person going, I really saw something cool while I was walking the floor, and we don't do it today. I would love to add that arrow into my quiver. We've got low barrier to entry ways for you to edify yourself rapidly. So when you enter into conversations with these OEMs, you're not just grabbing at straws or have no idea what they're talking about. Not that they're devious or in any way, shape, or form, but just a comfort and understanding, recognizing the opportunity that's there for you to add margin, add revenue to your existing customers, and potentially even grow that list. So that's a huge one that just continues to grow. I'll say that team just absolutely knocked it out of the park. It's I'm gonna guesstimate here and say it's less than 18 months on the market, and
Wow.
we're in something to the tune of 75 or 80 countries with 8 to 9 thousand unique learners. Like, okay,
That's impressive. Yeah, yeah.
that worked. So clearly there's a need again in meeting it. Um, the next one I would go to, and I'm going to take this, maybe the way to do this is to look at roles and what's important to you as far as roles. So I'm a business owner. Yes, what I just said is important to me. What's the next thing I have to worry about? Well, like any business owner, come October, you're worried about forecasting for the next year and what is happening. How am I making my decisions? What am I basing this on? Yes, I have my data. Yes, I can identify trends in what my customers are buying, but what's everybody else doing?
Mm.
And how does that give you a sense? So our state of the industry research, our business outlook series, we give them to our members at no charge. You don't have to be a member. You can come and you can buy them. They're not crazy expensive. Somewhere between $500 or $1,000 at most for a report, which on average is probably below average on a cost
Hmm.
basis. But it's hyper specific to your business. So to me, that as a CFO or CEO, hands down, that's the one thing I'm looking for a few times a year is where's that update? Andy, give me my update because I want to know where I line up, even if it's comparing yourself to compensation, wages, and benefits. are you competitive in your market? Or are you going to lose them to the automotive plant or the restaurant that's right next door? You're competing for some of that hourly labor. So that's an important one from my standpoint. Then we could go into the subject matter experts. What you need to, what we tried to do to design, this is where we differ from the traditional association model. Aside from the commercial perspective that you alluded to earlier, I think that's really a key thing is we're not the typical association. And I think that has been part of our success. That's for maybe round two. We can talk
Yeah.
about that.
Season two. Yeah.
Season two, yeah. And then the subject matter experts, human resources, color management, environmental health and safety, sustainability, things of this nature where you're like, most of our members don't have those positions on staff. A few of them do, who have 35,000 global employees and 150 plants. Of course, they've got 150 safety officers, but who do they call? Do the same thing to the owner who is worried about making payroll and doesn't have all these things. Who do you call when you need direction or a shoulder to lean on? We are that shoulder, and to me, there's something about if you're an entrepreneur, you inevitably have to fight this feeling of loneliness and that you're on an island by yourself, and you're trying to get this done. There you go. Right? And then you need someone to rely on too. So that comfort, that's part of the community building. Knowing that you can go into a forum and ask other peers to brainstorm or to troubleshoot or to call an expert and say, hey, I need this help. Hands down, that's huge to me. Now, if I'm somewhere else in the business who maybe doesn't have the problems or the task or the weight that an owner or a president or the top leader has, and I'm more from an operations standpoint or marketing, sales, somewhere in the print process, which is pretty much universal, right? Pre-flight, pre-press, on-press, post-press, finishing, fulfillment, boom. Like you all got to do it one way or another. If you're somewhere in there, you're going to leverage those tools a little bit different. One, those courses might be more relevant to you as, hey, I've been doing this for a while. I would love to be better at it. I want to grow. Everybody wants to grow. There's not that many people out there who are just like, no, I'm good. No, if they want to be the best at what they are, they're constantly, working at that. Whether they've run a press for 30 years, I guarantee you they know that machine in and out. They didn't just look at it every day and come in and turn it on. So that, from the education standpoint, I think has been a big contingency of the users we see in our programs who are exploring other options or adding the cherry on top to what they kind of already knew, right? You've been a printer for a long time. Well, then being a certified color management professional is just a token that you can put into your LinkedIn or your email so people can take you seriously. It's some recognition of the skill set which you have or you've acquired over your tenure. And then I
think just on that as well, Josh, which is quite important, and I hadn't really considered, is almost the value to the external viewer of your accreditation, if you like, from within the industry. Not just and I don't say this against anybody, not just an OEM accredited dealer or whatever it is, because that's purely commerce. I think people buy from people first and foremost. I think they buy even more from them if they recognize competence, and if they recognize competence, that breeds confidence, and then actually you're not selling at all. The customer's buying. That's a huge difference. So this accreditation that you're offering back to the industry, because it is from the industry and therefore a huge wide variety of peers, it almost has a higher value, doesn't it?
Third-party validation all day long. I can sit here and tell you about, like I'm doing now, all of our wares. What would be more impactful is if a member was here telling you why. The same concept applies, right? So when you're out there and you're saying, hey, I'm a certified color management professional, it's not that, ABC printing company or XYZ equipment manufacturer has said that about specific equipment or in this place. It's a wider, broader acknowledgement of a skill set, which in turn provides third-party validation and accreditation. And you don't even have to mention it. Like you said, people then see you as, oh, there's a baseline level, and now you're
Yeah,
up at this
you're
baseline
above it.
level.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hugely important, and it's the one thing I think I've noticed more than anything in my journeys around the world of print over the last 12 or 15 years, is the willingness of peer groups to collaborate.
Man,
Even when there may, of course, there's competition. We accept that,
it's
but
it's
you said it.
co-opetition. It's
Well,
co-opetition. It's
I like
it's
that.
it's
I'm gonna write that down. It's the problems are largely the same, right? I always say from Arkansas to Singapore, that printer has probably got the same problem, just in a slightly different language. So I think that desire to collaborate is something that, for a 1,000-year-old industry to be as strong as it is, and as powerful it is, and as omnipresent in everybody's lives as it is, that can't exist without that degree of collaboration, can it?
No, and that is human instinct. And so what we're banking on here at the very root of it is the human instinct to gather and have fellowship and to show off and to network and to learn from peers. That is the fundamental nature of an association. It's a basic human drive. It's why we knew live events were never going to go away forever.
Yeah,
Because people can't do that, because we're
yeah,
people, and we
yeah.
have that innate need to either validate our thinking through sharing it with others or to gather information in the same process.
Yeah, no, it's very true, and I think that leads beautifully on to the expo for this year coming up in September, and back to Las Vegas, as I mentioned before. Not that I should be smiling when I say that, but I can't help it. But
Everybody still does, right?
I'm really looking forward to it this year, and I think, armed with a bit more knowledge, and I kind of hope that this podcast is going to help other people realize as well just what's in it for them. Yeah, it's a great trade show. Yeah, it's in Vegas. All of the stuff that we know, but this is about the stuff that we don't know, and I would absolutely encourage people to dig under the surface of what membership of Printing United Lights can actually mean for you.
100%. I mean, the best way to say it is it's you become one of the wolf pack, right? And members get treated differently. Sorry, not sorry. At the expo, so it has its perks and benefits. Whether it's a dedicated line, so you're not waiting in the 3,000 person line on day one, or a place to retreat from the show floor. Because I mean, look, it's 1 million gross square feet. Somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000 of that is actual exhibits and space and equipment. It's a lot to take in. It's
Yeah,
a lot
sure.
to take in 3 days even. And we know everybody still has email, and they still have a job, and they're having to be there. So having that little retreat to be like, oh, I'm going to get a soft drink and some popcorn, and I'm going to sit on this couch and check emails for 10 minutes before my next appointment. And I'm not, what is it? What do they call it at the airport when you wall hugging, or where they
Yeah, yeah.
plug their socket in and they're not like strung around. It's just that to me is worth it. But that comes with my age. As I've gotten older, this convenience is high.
Oh,
higher on the
comfort is
priority
what you
scale.
need, Josh.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the just the general experience of the show in itself. Now, that is a whole nother monster. So member or not, member aside. Of course, we want everybody to be members, but we get it. We want people who are bought in. We don't want people just to join. We want people to join to support what we're doing and be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
my God,
yeah.
that those low dues are worth just. I feel like guilty that y'all are doing this. And that's what we want to happen. But the show is set up for everybody, and I think people go there for thinking that there's one section that they're focused on, and if I could get in everybody's ear, I would say open your mind. You have a world literally of technology at your fingertips to window shop. And if you are like, I've had so many people, Rich, tell me we don't do that just since I've been here. And I'll catch up with them 3-4 years later, and guess what? They've diversified their printing, or they've made partnerships. They're using distributors to extend their sales force. And
Yeah.
where did all these connections happen? At Printing
There you
United
go.
Expo.
Yeah,
They
it's
bumped
not
into
rocket
somebody in
science.
line for coffee. They walked down an arid aisle that they didn't mean to, and came across a technology or a person that like majorly impacted and changed the course of their business and their lives and their employees' lives. And it's a cascading type of thing. So there's tremendous power in the exploration of the other market verticals, and the collaboration with them, and what everybody can do together. You mentioned it earlier. It's the rising tides mentality. So whether you don't ever, you do wide format stuff and you don't ever want to get, into apparel, that's great. You don't have to, but you can connect with people. You can create these networks, and, everybody knows somebody who they outsource things to. But the more options you have, the more capacity you have to sell. And it's not taking from customers, it's selling more to people who weren't buying it to begin with. And every year, more people start to realize this, and you can sense it. And we hear it in the feedback. And, we had to create, convergence cards a few years ago to explain what these other segments were to people. And we run out of them every year because people pick it up and go, that's interesting. I'm pretty much a commercial printer. I've never really dabbled into wide format, but I get asked about it. Let me learn about it. Let me go to a session. Let me take a course. Now I understand. Oh, and now I'm going to work with partners, or now it's to the point where we need to bring this in and capture all that margin. Every circumstance is circumstantial or individual.
Very true. Yeah, very true. Yeah.
Like, it's kind of the definition of it is that not everybody's in the same boat. There's not a prescription to fix it all, but the sheer possibility that exists in that space for 3 days is outstanding. And it's palpable, it's undeniable. If you go, you'll see it. What we want people to know is that, the other 362 days, that community is still alive, vibrant, and doing things for people. Having this Big Ten approach, this kind of Switzerland, as you would say, it has allowed us to see what's happening with other associations, like-minded associations and partners. Their events at our show have grown exponentially in the past 4 years. It's becoming a true market week. And that's translating outside the show. Our fly-in had 8 partner associations, including ourselves, take Capitol Hill to go talk to lawmakers to try to push forward, a positive ecosystem for print, getting those ears, making those connections, understanding that, like, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue generated every year, trillions if you include the integrated print elements and people who don't even call themselves printers, right?
Sure.
This
Yeah.
massive industry. And to watch people's eyes, kind of in light when they're like, I never really thought about print.
Well, that's the phrase you hear, isn't it? Oh, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Right. And the truer words have never been that the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And that is what I feel like.
I'm writing that down too, by the way.
Print kind of has this indifference, and not to the people in it, but we want to inspire the people in it to spread that enthusiasm to their customers, right? Because if you're excited about it, you talk about more of the possibilities. You go, oh, here's your idea. Here's 5 other ideas to accomplish what your goal is, versus just being an order taker. It's a passion, and it's that inspiration that will drive the industry and ultimately make it more attractive for people to come in the future.
Wow, fabulous. I mean, honestly, you should do a podcast, Josh, because it sounds like you know what you're talking about.
We're just riffing, Rich.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just sitting here thinking as well that if the expo is the airport, then membership is the lounge.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
everybody gets that, don't they? We like to see things in pictures, and when we're stood wall hugging at an airport, watching people go above us, thinking, why are they having such a better time at the same journey? It's because they joined,
they look more comfortable than I do, and that's literally that was the thought of when we put pen to paper and said, what is this? It is the Disney Fast Pass. It is the airport lounge type of experience, just to notch it up just a bit. I think all of them are obviously valuable, but to me, being like, it's almost a no-brainer. Like, being a member is, depending on the time when you sign up, is cheaper than buying the educational pass to the expo. So
there you go.
If you time it right, you could become a member, get all these benefits, bring as many people from your company as you wanted. They get in at no charge, and they get access to all the paid educational sessions, which is, obviously another element of the expo. That's always been in high demand, and we happen to also be a media company, so the content we're getting is pretty much exclusive content. You're not going to find these courses. It's not the stuff that's written about in articles. We have great speakers. It's not the traditional conference experience. You can move and you can go. And then there's the various show floor activations that cover content from, AI and architectural installation to apparel and everything in between. There's so much knowledge being, oozed out of that show floor that I just would suggest come with a mind like a sponge.
And I would say to finish that thought, the juice, ladies and gentlemen, is worth the squeeze. So on that basis, Josh, listen, it's been great having you on Print Island today. Thank you very much for making the journey out here. It's lovely to see you. I look forward to seeing you in September out in, did I mention Las Vegas?
Yes, you did.
But I'm really looking forward to it and looking forward to catching up. And for anybody out there watching, give us one line, Josh, give us one reason why somebody should be a member of Printing United Alliance.
Ooh, in one line?
You've done the T-shirt already. You've given me quotes all the way through this. I need the killer line.
I know. Now you put me on the spot. There's so many things, and it's really to help yourself. Becoming a member helps us help you, which helps yourself, and it helps the industry. And that is what it's all about when you really boil it down. Is trying to protect and create a prosperous environment for print service providers.
I love it. Josh Carruth, you are an absolute legend. Thank you for joining us on Print Island, and I will see you somewhere soon.
All right. Until then, be safe.
Take care.